Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal News Show, joining you every morning at, 8 a.m. US time today and 2 p.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, as always, for joining me and being a part of your daily, I'm going to say morning to everybody, but daily routines. Absolutely. Looking up and scrolling through into the chat box. Good morning to Leopold. Good morning to R. Smith. Good morning to Olu. Old Dave, good morning to you. Granddaddy Gooner, PJ, Peter Capelli, we've got Latif, we've got George, we've got John, and we've got Martin, Dominic as well, Keems, Temi. So many of you joining us in the chat box as always. It is always an absolute pleasure to speak with you and to see, of course, who is going to be having a chat with us as well. Looking ahead to the stories today is, of course, a massive, massive game as well, involved Arsenal playing Southampton in what is a must-win for the club. There are no excuses. There are no second chances in this one. Arsenal need to win today. If we don't win, I don't know what to say. I don't know how on earth we're going to get anywhere close to winning a title if we can't beat Southampton. And I don't know how Manchester City are going to drop enough points to allow Arsenal back into the race. Arsenal, of course, still remain in the race for plenty of transfer targets as well, and we're going to be looking into a number of those targets very shortly indeed. Without further ado, let's crack on with today's stories. Please do drop a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. We kick off by telling you firstly about Arsenal's game against Nottingham Forest. Arsenal were due to face the city where I formerly was a resident for 3 years, and I'm very much looking forward to getting back to Nottingham to watch the game, but it will be at a different time. Arsenal will be facing them on May 20th at 5:30 p.m. And we are in a position where hopefully that game has huge ramifications for the title in a positive sense. If we can still be in the race for the title by the last game of the season, that would be absolutely brilliant. But there are no guarantees in this league, as we all very much well know. But Nottingham Forest, we will play them at a rescheduled time, not date, still on the same day, May 20th at 5:30 p.m. Now, Moises Caicedo has done a very, very interesting indeed interview with The Telegraph. If you haven't already read the whole thing, I would encourage you to do so, because it is a very interesting read and not one that you would ever expect to kind of come out during the middle of the season. But speaking with Danny Gilles, who was at The Telegraph, he was asked questions about the move to Arsenal, which ultimately fell apart. We had two bids, upwards of £70 million. I think actually three bids up to £70 million rejected by Brighton. Arsenal really went heavy in January to try and sign the player. Speaking about it, he says, I'm sure I'm going to have many more opportunities. He says, that's why I continue to do things well. But it was tough. At the beginning, when I didn't end up going, lots of people would make fun of me on Instagram. People treated me badly. I didn't check my social media because it would hurt me to see things. I assume that was probably more so from Brighton supporters potentially than Arsenal fans. Obviously, Arsenal fans, we know Caicedo did everything he could to try and get the move done, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Continuing, he says, I'd seen a lot of Arsenal before knowing there was a possibility of me signing for them. I watched them and I liked them because they have a very young, talented player and some stars that they are always have the mindset of wanting more. He was also asked about whether or not he wanted Arsenal to win the league, and he simply said, of course, I hope so, but let's see. Moises Caicedo there very much talking up Arsenal and getting into the right kind of mindset for a player that, who knows, could be joining the club if Arsenal do indeed push for him in the summer. Now, Mason Mount has been linked now with the move to Arsenal. Our very own good friend of the show, Charles Watts of Goal, reporting that Arsenal have held talks with Mason Mount as the Gunners step up their transfer plans for the summer. This is an article that has only literally just gone out from Charles. But apparently, according to Charles, talks have taken place about the 24-year-old international's availability. Liverpool, Newcastle, Man City, and Man United are also keen on the player. He's a player that I've liked. He's a player that I've talked about on the channel and talked about saying that I would be interested in potentially seeing Mason Mount arriving at Arsenal. I think this would be a damaging arrival for a number of players in the squad, most notably and most likely Emile Smith-Rowe. Very interesting if this was a deal that Arsenal would be looking to do in the summer and how it might affect any players like, for instance, Emile Smith-Rowe. But yes, Charles Watts this morning reporting that Arsenal have held preliminary, I guess, tentative talks with the players' reps about the potential for a move to Arsenal in the summer, as Chelsea absolutely will be needing to sell a lot of players. Now, today, Arsenal, of course, face Southampton in what I believe, as I've already said, is an absolute win or bust situation for our title chances. If Arsenal are unable to pick up a victory and pick up all 3 points in today's game, I just cannot see how on earth Arsenal would be in a situation. What I love that people are laughing at Manchester United in the chat box as well. For a minute, it threw me off, but I absolutely realised why people are laughing. If you didn't watch the Europa League action last night, please do go and watch Man United's highlights. They were brilliant. And if you haven't seen Declan Rice's goal, certainly also something that you should be keeping your eyes on, because he demonstrated his technical ability that some people have been suggesting he doesn't have. Well, go watch that goal and then come back and try and tell me that Declan Rice does not possess any technical ability, because the way in which he drove forwards, took the player on and finished, what a goal, and certainly a demonstration of the skill set that he has. But going back to today's game and our headline kind of talking point of the day, Zinchenko has indeed, it seems, travelled with the squad for today's game. However, there is no indication that he will be involved in the game. Zinchenko does tend to travel when he's not available for games with the team anyway. He was at West Ham. He was in the tunnel with the players in East London, and I saw Zinchenko walk through relatively comfortably through the mix zone afterwards, but I've seen Saliba do that on a number of occasions, and it's unfortunately not meant anything in regards to availability. So despite the fact that Zinchenko has seemingly travelled with the group for today's game against Southampton, it is not, unfortunately, enough to tell us that he will be involved in any way, shape or form. William Saliba, though, as we know, it's almost certain that he will not be there. And Arteta has already confirmed that in his press conference. And we're hoping that we get some more positive news in the coming weeks, it seems, about Saliba. So I wouldn't be getting my hopes up right now regarding a potential move that sees him involved in the group for Wednesday's game against Manchester City. Okay, let's obviously move forward to our part two, but I do need to tell you, as always, about the latest prize, and there are only, as I'm told, 15 tickets left to win a signed Ben White Arsenal home shirt. Also, just by entering, gives you the chance to win a third shirt of Ben White, also signed by the player as well. So if you haven't yet got involved in the competition, there's lots of instant prizes, including plenty of football prizes, site credit that you can also use to obviously buy other tickets and other competitions. If you haven't got involved, best of luck to those that have, but please get one before they run out. Okay, part two coming up right after this. So, last night at Gooner, we kicked things off at the Globe Pub, and of course today's game at the Globe Pub will be shown. Very much looking forward to seeing I'm hearing so many, apparently, supporters coming down, upwards of potentially 150, maybe even 200 Arsenal supporters in the pub today to watch the game. Really looking forward to it. Yesterday, for those that have been asking, and you may have seen on social media the video that was posted by Mike of the Gooners pod, yes, I have indeed now tried Malore, and I can indeed confirm it is hell on earth. It is the worst thing I have ever had given to me in liquid form. I can tell you, it is absolutely horrible. However, it is a rite of passage. So for those coming to Chicago, there is no choice. There is no way out. You still need to absolutely have one. But I was not keen to do it, Marcus, at all. But I still did it. Swallowed my pride and still managed to get it down me, which is the most important thing, and keep it down, which is, again, very much the way forwards is if you can keep it down, and I did manage to do so. So if you want to see my reaction to it, there's a video on social media which you can go and check out. I think I posted it on my channel at the Gooner Talk TV if you haven't done so already either. So terrible. I tell you, hairs on your chest is the saying that we would go for in the UK. Certainly gives you those hairs on your chest. Let's go to the chat box then and ask some of the questions. Marcus says, so why don't you get some guests to the show? It would be great to see them for live shows like the Queen of the Arsenal on Mike. Mike's asleep. Trust me, I've tried texting him. I have tried to text Mike. He is asleep right now. I left relatively early from the pub yesterday because I knew I wanted to get like a proper night's sleep before today's game and today's day because it's going to be a long one. Managed to get to sleep at about 9 and woke up at 5 a.m. So that's the longest sleep I've managed to get. So I got a solid 8 hours, I think, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, which was absolutely needed. But yeah, it is so desperately difficult to try and get sleep at the moment, but I am managing to do it, which I'm very much pleased about. Ed says, if we beat Southampton and Man City, we go 10 points clear. Is that not a very realistic possibility? As Arsenal fans, we need to relax and back the boys. Now, of course, it's a big if. It's not less so a big if against Southampton. I'm really trying to just focus on the Southampton game today. Like the City game, I barely even want to think about. I can start thinking about City if we pick up the 3 points today, because anything other than 3 points, and it's very difficult to see us getting anything from this league title race at the end of the day. But I'm really hopeful, of course. I'm really optimistic about today's game. I think we'll see a response. Xhaka told me when asked that he promised a response. So hopefully we see a reaction as well. But it's difficult to suggest anything. Of course, City don't play this weekend. They're playing in the FA Cup. So we will go 7 points clear with 2 games played more than City if we get that win today. But it's difficult to know whether that, I don't know whether or not it had an impact or not, if that does end up happening, because I'd rather have the points on the board, but I can't see Man City dropping points. Going to Kieran says, does Ake being injured boost Arsenal going to the game in on Wednesday? If he indeed is injured, Guardiola said that he's out of this weekend's games. But that doesn't mean that he won't be ready and available and back for the game against Arsenal. Ake did say after the game against Bayern that he said it's not as bad as what he has had with that injury in the past. We'll have to wait and see. It is definitely a boost because I think he's been one of, if not their best defender this season. I think Ake has gone to an absolutely new level in the game under Guardiola, playing left back, playing left-sided centre-back. I think Ake has been absolutely excellent for Man City this season. So without him, that is a big blow, a big blow. So I hope he's not available. Obviously, I never want to wish injury on anyone, but I hope he's not available. I don't want him to be. Let's go to Griffin. He says, hey, Tom, would you take Gnabry? Yes, I would. Very simply. Betas fan says, are you going to see the Cubs versus Dodgers? Yes, I am. I will be at the Cubs game on Sunday. Very much looking forward to it. My first experience of baseball. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's going to be fun. I think we're sitting like near first base. Apparently, they're quite good seats, which I know it's out of my hands. So I just said I wanted to go, and someone sorted us tickets. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Marcus says, are you going to be going to the women's semi-final on May 1st? I don't know yet. I have requested it, but it depends whether or not we get accepted. But I would very much be open to going to the semi-final. And of course, the semi-final first leg takes place very soon indeed. The second leg at the Emirates has already sold something like 45,000 tickets. Amazing response, brilliant response. Leah Williamson, of course, won't be there. Serious injury. We wish her a very, very speedy recovery. RRM says, hey, Tom, if we want another AMF attacking midfielder, whilst we have Vieira, Trossard, Smith Rowe, isn't it done to go for a mount and not aim higher like a McAllister? Well, McAllister's more of a kind of a box-to-box player that in the Ødegaard style where he spends more time in the attacking third. I wouldn't describe McAllister as an out-and-out attacking midfielder. I think he's more so as that offensive-minded 8 role that we get from Ødegaard. But I very much think that there are just better players out there for that role on the left side of the 8, which is where I think that McAllister would play for Arsenal. If that's Moises Caicedo, great. That's probably who I would go for. I like Mason Mount. I think he's a very underrated player. I think he's someone that people don't give enough credit to. And I think he's someone that Chelsea haven't given enough credit to. And I think if Arsenal were to get someone like Mount, it would be adding quality to the forward line and more variation and more options for us. But it's an interesting link, and I'm not unsurprised to see it being suggested that Arsenal do have that interest in the player. Rutledge says, do you see another defensive formation or subs if we don't get Zinchenko or Saliba back before Man City, i.e. something we might try out today? Well, I think today is going to be the indication. If nothing is different in the lineup, I will be shocked if you saw anything different at City. Because surely you'd want to go into that game against City having tried out something. Now, what I think is if Zinchenko's fitness is in question, which he did take part in training this week, even though he's been and had a question mark over him, he was taking part in the rondos and some of the sessions. I don't know how intense it was. and they'll not want to risk him because they don't want to see him miss out for a larger period of time if we push him back too quickly. But Zinchenko and Saliba being out, if you're able to play Holding and Tierney for the space of your last game, this game, and then City, that's 3 games they've all played together and give that more familiarity between one another. So I think there are benefits to it. Daniel says, do you think the pink kit will make one final appearance this season? If so, which match do you think that it would be? It's difficult, isn't it? Because the games in which we can wear pink, we can wear red. That's the problem when you have a pink kit, is that pink is a very close colour to red. So it's difficult to know when we would wear it. Our next away game is City, and of course I think we'll wear the home kit for that. Then Newcastle, I think we'll wear the home kit for that. Maybe we wear the pink kit for that, but they have black shorts, don't they? So you'd think it would be the red and white. Then Forest away, which are red, and I think that'll be the last time we see the black kit used. So I'm not sure we are going to see the pink away kit used again this season. The women's team used it when they played Man United, but I don't think we'll see it used in any of the final away fixtures of the season. Icky May says, hey Tom, do you think we need to put 4 or 5 past Southampton in order to push City a bit? I think we need to try and absolutely score as many goals as we can. We need to level up that goal difference that we've got, and it's going to be certainly something that improves things. Drew says, who do you think are the realistic right-sided players to back up Saka? Realistic, it's tough. Moussa Diaby has been linked to us, but I can't see us spending that much money to sign Moussa Diaby. Very difficult indeed. Marco Asensio, left-footed, right-sided player, could be available on free in the summer. Is he someone that could come in and give competition to Saka? Maybe, but it's left-footed right wingers are not at a premium at the moment in the world football, so it's very difficult to see ones that you think we could bring in to bring that back up, bring that competition to someone as good as Bukayo Saka and be realistic enough that it's worth investing in, and you need to find the right profile, right player to be able to do that. John says, do you think Declan Rice put Mason Mount forward in talks? Is that something that we could use, bringing in Mount and Rice? I mean, if you would have said to me like 2 years ago that Mount and Rice would be playing together, I would have said, yeah, I can see that happening. If you would have told me that they would have been at Arsenal, I would have said, are you mad? Like, they would have been mad to consider both Rice and Mount ending up at Arsenal. But who knows? Maybe that's something that we'll see happen. Stuart says, as Spurs don't look like they're going to be getting Champions League guaranteed, do you think we have a chance of getting Kulusevski if they don't make it? It's not a bad shout. I mean, I think that the clause in the contract only activates if they get Champions League football. Very interesting how that Kulusevski deal might work out. It could work out very much not falling in Spurs' favour, which would be absolutely brilliant if that was indeed to be the case. Abdul says, Tom, we taking down City on Wednesday. I'm calling it here. I hope you're right, mate. I really, really do. But let's focus on today's game against Southampton. That is very much the focus. That is what the focus has to be. We cannot afford to take it for granted. We need to get the 3 points in today's game. If we don't, you can forget about the City game in its entirety, to be honest. It'd be very difficult to even consider winning a title if we don't pick up 3 points in today's fixture. I think we're going to call it there. Sorry for the slightly shorter show today. I did do a 50-minute show yesterday, so I suppose it's kind of leveling things up a bit. And of course, with this being a show that is going to be effectively out of date in about 6 hours' time, because the game is in just under 6 hours' time at 2 p.m. Here in Chicago, 8 p.m. of course, you guys over in the UK and other times elsewhere in the world. We are going to wrap this one a little bit quicker. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Do drop a like on the video. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Well, I should be back tomorrow morning. I have a feeling it's going to be a long one tonight, especially if we get a very good result. We've got the gala this evening as well, the Chicago Gooners Gala. Lots of raffle prizes, lots of events going on at Redline VR. It's going to be great. But if you are in Chicago, come down to the Globe Pub. You might want to get there early. It's going to get busy. It's going to get packed. It's going to be rammed. And it's going to be a lot of Arsenal fans hopefully celebrating a big 3 points against the Saints. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you soon, and some of you I'll see in person, which is great. And as always, up the Arsenal.